Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is another face-to-face chat and a true crime story time. Today's story is called Death Rides In. I have Hank here. He's going to observe the story. So, Bill's sister was actually somewhat awake yesterday, and so Bill was able to talk to her, and she knew he was there and everything, so that was good. What's a little concerning though was that at his sister's house, Bill went to his sister's house where his niece was and all that, and I don't know why they did this, but they all took their blood pressure, and Bill's was like really high. So now he's worried, and now he has me worried. So he made an appointment for next Wednesday to go to the doctor, but they advised him to go to urgent care. And he doesn't want to do that until Sunday when we get back from, we have to go to a wedding tomorrow. That's like 2.5 hours away. So I went online today and I ordered at home blood pressure cuff. I said, when I pick you up tonight from the airport, because I've got to pick him up at like midnight, I said, we're going to take it when you come home. So we'll see what it is. I tried to tell him, you know, the stress of everything going on, I said, we'll take it when you get home, but it has me worried. I'm like, can we get through a week without something, you know? We're also scheduled on Monday to get our COVID booster shot. So we're doing that. I am so thankful that I am off next week because boy, has today, it has been a day. The attorney is reading from a ton of emails, and we have all had trouble. They actually took a lunch break a half hour early. Yeah, this is the lunch break because I had no time this morning. I got up so late this morning, and the week has just caught up with me. And I just did not have time to do this video before the job started. And they are ending at 6 o'clock today. They're ending a half hour early. I feel like on every Friday, they end early, half hour early. And I talked to my boss on the phone today during a break, and I'm like, we're all dying over here. And I was like, you know, just FYI, like next Friday, because, you know, after next week, we have this for 3 weeks in a row. And I told her, I said, you know, I'm off on that Friday, December 3rd. She's like, oh my God, who's going to do the extra stuff you do? I said, you're going to have to do it. And she was like, yeah. So I've already composed an email. What's nice in Gmail is you can schedule emails like in advance. So I've already composed an email to go out like Wednesday night before that Friday. So 2 days before, saying, hey, I'm off this day, reminder, here's what needs to happen to my boss. Here's what you need to do. It's one fucking day. And the thing is, you know, I've had this retreat booked since like March. No way in hell am I canceling because you scheduled an arbitration. That's not how that works. No. She did tell me that she is going to be off January 20th through the 25th. And I think what she's going to do is she's going to take the first week off after the arbitration because she's like, we're going to need a break. But then that second week, she might take some stuff because then the following week, she's off like 4 more days. So I'm going to have some time off, you know, coming up afterwards. And, it's funny because our pay, I pay everyone through Venmo, through her Venmo account, but there are weekly limits for Venmo, and because everyone is getting paid more money for this arbitration, we tend to hit those before my invoice is even paid. So I have to send her a request directly, and she was like, I paid your invoice yesterday and I had to put on my glasses. She's like, you know, why was it so big? And I'm like, you're joking, right? I'm like, do you realize what I do in the course of a day for this job? I said, when we work it 5 days a week, that is my normal check, just FYI. And because normally if there were no limits on Venmo, she wouldn't even really notice that because I would just pay it. But the fact that she has to go in and pay it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Don't fucking question my invoice. Are you insane? No. That's a no. But I did do some stitching last night. got a bunch of that done, and I'm going to redo my nails tonight because, like I said, I don't have to pick up Bill until like midnight. So I'm going to do my nails, and yeah, tomorrow I have a massage, and then when I come back, I got to get in the shower, get myself ready, pack a bag, because we're staying overnight in Ocean City for this wedding ceremony thing. Yeah. But we'll be back first thing Sunday morning. But okay. So, the story is called Death Rides In. The little dog was clearly in distress. Really, Hank? We're going to start off with a dog being in distress? No. The little dog was clearly in distress, whining and shaking as it trailed its leash behind it. To the couple who spotted it while taking an evening walk along the Macomb Orchard Trail in Armada, Michigan, it appeared that the dog was trying to attract their attention. Then it began pawing at the ground, disturbing what looked like a pile of trash in the undergrowth. Michael Sadaj took a few steps closer to see what the dog was so interested in. Then he reeled back. Lying in the bushes was a blood-spattered body. Yeah, that would be shocking, right? Michael immediately reached for his phone and dialed 911. Even before officers arrived at the scene, they knew what awaited them. The dispatcher had already given them the grim details. Young girl, naked, badly beaten, possibly raped. Still, they were unprepared for the level of violence inflicted on the victim's corpse. She had been bludgeoned, kicked, and stomped, the imprint of her killer's shoes embedded in the bruises that covered her body. The girl's panties had been pulled down and her bra had been ripped off. The police judged her to be no older than her mid-teens. Judging by the state of the body, they reckoned that she had been dead only a matter of hours. Meanwhile, just a couple of miles away, Jennifer Milsap was becoming concerned about her daughter, April. The 14-year-old had set out to walk her dog, Penny, that evening and had still not returned 2 hours later. Oh my God. Jennifer had tried texting April but had gotten no response. She had then called her daughter's phone, which had gone straight to voicemail. Concerned, she had called April's boyfriend, Austin Albertson, hoping that April was with him. She wasn't, and Austin had some troubling news to share. He had just received a troubling text from April that read, "I think I was almost kidnapped, OMFG." What? Can you imagine receiving that? Her concern now elevated to panic. Jennifer got into her car and went looking for her daughter. She made it as far as the Macomb Orchard Trail before her path was blocked by a police officer who would not allow her to go any further. Jennifer was then escorted to a nearby police station where she would spend the next 10 hours desperate for any news of her daughter. Eventually, she was told that she should go home and get some sleep, and it wasn't until the next day that she would learn the dreadful truth. Her beloved daughter had been murdered, beaten to death by some unknown perpetrator in an act of apparently random violence. See how it says apparently? I bet it's not random. Right from the very start, this was a case that threw up challenges for investigators. The first of these was to try and understand the motive. That's what we always want to know. Why? Why are you committing this fucking heinous act against a 14-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 50-year-old, whoever? Despite the condition in which the body had been found, April had not been sexually assaulted. I guess that's some consolation there, right? Had her killer been disturbed? Had he been physically unable to carry out the rape? Had he become angry when she resisted him? These were all questions that needed answers. Then there was the text that April had sent in her last moments. She said that someone had tried to kidnap her. That suggested that the attempt had failed, and if that was the case, how then had she ended up dead? That's exactly what I thought. Finally, there was the issue of physical evidence, or rather the lack of it. The condition of the crime scene suggested that the murder had been committed in a frenzy. That should have resulted in at least some trace evidence being left behind, but the police had found nothing. Not a fiber, not a fingerprint, not a trace of DNA. The only thing they had was the imprint of the killer's shoe, stamped into the victim's flesh like a cattle brand. I can't even imagine. Despite these setbacks, the police remained determined to catch the perpetrator of this terrible crime and bring him to justice. That would require the help of the public, and so a hotline was set up. Within days, it had received hundreds of tips, several of which involved a man on a black off-road motorcycle who had been seen loitering in the area. One witness even said that she had seen him talking to April. This man would quickly become the focus of the investigation. It had already been established that April Milsap had been beaten with a motorcycle helmet before being kicked and stomped to death. Jesus Christ. There was also footage from the CCTV camera of a private home near the crime scene. It showed a black motorcycle racing away from the area just before 7 p.m. on the night of the murder. Investigators were certain that its rider was the killer of April Milsap. All they had to do now was find him. The next break in the case came when police found April's cell phone. Since April had sent a text message while out on her walk, they knew that she had been carrying it with her. However, the phone could not be located at the crime scene, and it was assumed that the killer had taken it. Fortunately, it had a GPS-enabled fitness tracker, and April had activated it on the night of her final walk. That allowed the police to locate the phone. It had been discarded at the side of the road along the route that the suspect had taken. This was a valuable piece of circumstantial evidence which would solidify the case against the killer if and when the police tracked him down. But finding their suspect was proving difficult. A month passed, then two, and still investigators had made little progress in locating the mystery motorcyclist. Then, in October of 2014, a totally random occurrence got the investigation back on track. A police officer was on patrol in nearby Wales Township when he spotted a black off-roader with blue and white markings parked in the drive of a residence. Aware that his colleagues were searching for just such a motorcycle, he passed the information on. The registered owner was a 34-year-old man named James Van Callis. Brought in for questioning, Van Callis was initially cooperative, but he quickly clammed up when he realized he was a suspect in a murder. Murder. Haven't said that in a while, right? Yeah. So the evidence against Van Callis, albeit circumstantial, quickly began to stack up. It was learned that he had been in Armada visiting his brother on the night of the murder, July 24th, 2014. It was also determined that the curvature of his motorcycle helmet exactly matched the injuries inflicted on April Milsap's skull. Police then executed a search warrant on Van Callis's residence, hoping to find a pair of shoes that matched the bruises left on the victim's head and neck. They didn't find them, but they did get some interesting testimony from Van Callis's girlfriend, Crystal Stadler. According to Stadler, she had seen Van Callis washing down a pair of shoes with hand sanitizer on the night that April was killed. She had asked him what he was doing, and Van Callis had responded that he had messed up and needed her to stay by his side. Like, wouldn't you have asked more questions than that? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, where were these shoes that would have linked Van Callis forensically to the crime? Long gone, if the evidence was anything to go by. Detectives soon learned that Van Callis had requested a special trash pickup from his home just days after April was killed. Most likely, the incriminating footwear was among the items that were removed. Despite many hours spent sifting through the reeking garbage at the St. Clair County landfill, the shoes were never found. The case would have to be made on circumstantial evidence only. It is a common misconception that a prosecution lacking in forensics is inherently flawed and destined to fail. This is simply not true. If it were, then many murder trials would not make it into the courtroom and killers would walk free. Ideally, a prosecutor would prefer to back his case up with science, but a case built on a strong incidental narrative can be just as compelling. The key is in tying all of the strands together so that it makes sense to a jury. One or two random events can always be written off as chance. More than that, and the likelihood of coincidence becomes even ever more distant. This is what the prosecutor presented to the jury at James Van Callis's murder trial. Van Callis had been in the vicinity of the murder, and two eyewitnesses swore that he was the man they had seen talking to April Milsap. He rode a motorcycle identical to the one spotted near the crime scene. That same motorcycle was seen leaving the area at speed right after the murder. April's cell phone was found along the route the motorcyclist had taken. Her fitness tracker had recorded the phone passing the CCTV camera at the very moment that the motorcyclist sped by. Later that evening, Van Callis was seen washing something from his shoes. Those same shoes, which might have incriminated him, had later disappeared. Van Callis had admitted to his girlfriend that he had messed up and needed her support. Moreover, Van Callis's helmet matched the injuries inflicted on April's skull. There was also some insight into his character provided by his girlfriend, Crystal Stadler. She described him as violent and controlling. So all of that together, yeah, you're going to jail, dude. Yeah. But none of this explained why James Van Callis would attack an innocent young girl who he didn't even know. But some crimes just defy explanation. They are committed on the spur of the moment without consideration for the consequences. Most likely, Van Callis spotted April walking along the quiet road and decided to proposition her. His initial approach must have been quite aggressive because April immediately sent a text to her boyfriend saying that she had almost been kidnapped. I would have been so scared. I can't even imagine. Nonetheless, Van Callis had been rebuffed. Chances are that he started to leave, but then became angry at being rejected and decided that he would take what he wanted by force. He then returned, struck April on the head with his motorcycle helmet, and dragged her into the bushes. There, he started ripping off her clothes, but April resisted, and that probably set him off. This was a man, remember, who had been described by his girlfriend as violent, right? Angered by the teenager's efforts to defend herself, he started kicking and stomping her, inflicting 48 separate injuries. Good God. 48? April Milsap had died of trauma inflicted with a very large force, according to the medical examiner's report. That was all it took, one moment of lust-induced madness to snuff out the life of a happy, carefree teenager with her whole future ahead of her. Van Callis's defense attorney, of course, attacked the prosecution's case, slamming it as supposition and questioning why there was not a single scrap of forensic evidence. The answer to that question is that Van Callis had 2 months to destroy all traces of it. Yeah. Unfortunately for him, the residue of evil lingers even when the physical evidence has been obliterated. James Van Callis was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to a mandatory term of life imprisonment. He continues to protest his innocence from behind bars. Outside of his immediate family, there are few who believe him. There's no way that he didn't do it. He did it. Now, I am reading a new book called Did I Say You Could Go? I'm going to read you the premise because it is told in alternating perspectives of the people, which you know I love books like that. This book is by Melanie Gideon, and it's my 51st book. So, it says, a suspenseful, gripping novel about families and friendships torn apart at the seams by obsession, secrets, and betrayal, with relentless twists and turns that hurtle forward to a shocking confrontation. Dun, dun, dun. When Ruth, a wealthy divorcee, offers to host the Hillside Academy kindergarten meet and greet, she hopes this will be a fresh start for her and her introverted daughter, Marley. Finally, they'll be accepted into a tribe. Marley will make friends, and Ruth will be welcomed by the mothers. Instead, the parents are turned off by Ruth's wealth, and before kindergarten even begins, Ruth and Marley are outcasts. The last guest to arrive at the meet and greet is Gemma, a widow and a single mother to her daughter, Bee. Ruth sets her sights on the mother-daughter duo, and soon the two families are inseparable. Ruth takes Gemma and Bee on Aspen vacations, offers VIP passes to Cirque du Soleil, and pays for dinners at Michelin-starred restaurants. For Gemma, who lives paycheck to paycheck, Ruth's, it's seductive, right? It says largesse. Ruth's largesse is seductive, but as the years go by, she can't shake the feeling that she's accruing an increasingly unpayable debt. Yeah, I can understand that. When Ruth's affair with a married Hillside dad is exposed and she's publicly shunned, Gemma uses it to sever ties with Ruth. 6 years later, when Gemma finds herself embroiled in a scandal of her own, Ruth comes to her defense. Their renewed friendship rehabilitates their reputations, but once again, Gemma starts to feel trapped as Ruth grows more and more obsessed with their relationship. A relentless page-turner, Did I Say You Could Go, is the story of friendships steeped in lies and duplicity. It's about two families who, when pushed to extremes, cross the line with devastating results. And I put books all the time in my watch later list, or I have like a list on Amazon with all the books I want to read. I need to do a video where I go through that again because I've added so many books there that I haven't even put samples on my Kindle. This one's really good though. What page am I on? I am on page 55 of 360, and I started reading it yesterday. Yeah, I started reading it yesterday. But yeah, it's good because it tells the perspectives of Ruth, of Gemma, and then also their two daughters. So you get to see the inner workings of everybody. And wow, it's just, domestic suspense to the hilt. It's very good though. So I will link the book down below. So as always, I hope you guys are having a good Friday, that you have a good weekend, because I will not be back until Monday with another true crime story. And actually next week, I'll probably try to do like a diamond paint with me, because I haven't diamond painted in weeks. I've just been stitching at night. And with me having off, I'll have a little bit more time. So at least Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I will. Thursday is Thanksgiving. And so I don't know, I might do a video. We have to be over at my dad's till the afternoon. I'll try to find Thanksgiving true crime. That would be interesting, right? And then Friday, Bill is off also, but he goes out Black Friday shopping, so no. I've done all my Christmas shopping. I just can't believe that next week already. Next weekend, we'll be putting up the Christmas tree. And I have to wrap all of those presents that are in that closet. I mean, I have it stacked up. You would just die. I literally have everything bought, though. I'm even done shopping for Bill, so I'm done. Even his stocking stuff, I've gotten all of that already, so I'm way ahead of it. I just didn't want to wait until further because with shipping and the post office and the pandemic and all that, things are still taking like a while, right? But yeah, and I haven't received a shipping notice from my Velky Pataki. I need to check my spam folder, make sure, because they said it was going to ship in November, and we're in the 3rd week, right? Yeah. So, as always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys. Hank says bye.